Day 3 starts at the train station. We're having some coffee and a pastry at a place called Panella. Got 2 cappuccinos. These are the large ones. They're like normal sized cups of coffee in America, but these are larger for cappuccinos. But I did not sleep well last night, so I really, really need the caffeine. And then we got an apricot tart, which is actually pretty good. It's not as sweet as you might think. It's just kind of a light apricot taste. They also had a sour cherry, which was intriguing, but we opted for this one. Our train doesn't leave for about an hour and 10 minutes or 15 minutes or so. We just wanted to get here early, so we took the subway in to the train station because it's all kind of the same thing. And then we'll hop our train to Florence. We paid a little extra for the premium car, which actually was not that much extra. But they gave us cookies and chips or crisps and some water. The soda I bought myself. But that's really cool. There's a lot of things to admire in Florence, but the Duomo, which is essentially the Church of Saint Mary of Flowers, Santa Maria de Fiore, and I'm sorry, my Italian's not very good. But that's essentially what it translates to, also known as the Duomo. We're going to be going in that later, and we'll be climbing that dome.
That's the plan.
What was the name of the dude who made it?
This one,
Verticelli? No, or am I thinking it wrong? Budaleshki, that's what it is.
Sure.
We'll double check that, but I think so. Anyway, we've done a lot of steps recently. We'll be doing more to go up in it. These are very famous by Lorenzo Gilberti. These are actually copies. They were made in 1990, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah, 1990. Just because the others were like being exposed to the weather and temperature is the worst thing for these kinds of monuments. So these are replicas. The real ones are available. I think you can go see them in some museum somewhere. I'm not sure, but they're very famous and they're directly across from the Duomo. And this is a pretty incredible piece of architecture. And I think our tour includes the dome, going to the top of that, but then you can also go up the tower here if you want to. We'll see how we feel after having walked up all the stairs to the dome. We got checked in, but our room isn't ready yet, so they took our bags and we're heading off to the Santa Croce because our tour for the Duomo isn't until later. One interesting thing about Italy in general is that, you know how in America, like if you have a hotel, it's the whole building's in a hotel, is a hotel, right? Well, here, the hotels might just be a floor of a building. Like the building we were just in, there are multiple hotels. Each one of them has its own separate floor. Plus, there are actually like living spaces in there too, like apartments. So the whole building isn't a hotel. It's just the floor that we're going to be on, which is floor 2. It's an interesting way to go about doing things. Owning an entire building is probably very expensive. So, you know, you might have a hotel that only has 12 rooms or something because it's just on the floor of a building. But that's kind of cool. We haven't seen a room yet. From the pictures, they look pretty good. And of course, the location is perfect because it's right in the middle of everything. While we're here, we want to try a few Florentine dishes. One of them is Florentine steak. It looks good. Josh and I both like steak. I made a reservation. I couldn't sleep last night, so I grabbed my iPad and made a reservation at a place for later tonight at 6:30. And if you went at 6:30, you got 20% off because I think they're enticing people to go there because people in Italy tend to eat later. And so we can get in on that, which is pretty cool because that's, 6 something is when we normally eat. Eating at 8 o'clock is way too late for us. I mean, we'll do it, but it's a little too late. And so we're gonna do the Duomo tour. We're probably gonna be able to check in before then, which is great. And now we're sent. What's at Santa Croce, Josh?
I don't recall.
Oh, he has it on his list. We're not exactly sure why. And that's okay. There was a reason. We just don't remember what it is at the time. And we'll head that way now. We just walked down the street the opposite way of the Duomo, and look, here we are. I'm not sure what this square is called. I'll have to look it up later, but that building is magnificent. And that tower is copied in places all over the world, including the Italy Pavilion in Epcot in Disney World. They do have a statue of David over here, although it is not the statue of David. It was getting too worn outside, so they moved it inside, and we're going to see that tomorrow. But they replaced it with a replica, so people can see it even if they don't want to pay the entrance fee to get in. So it's not the original, but it's a copy. I like that fountain over there. That's pretty cool. I want to go check that out some more. I want to figure out what this building is. It's a museum. I can see Museo de Palazzo Vecchio. Oh, okay. Palazzo Vecchio. Or it's Vecchio. Ugh, I'm sorry, my Italian. Look how beautiful that is. I mean, and it's old too. Look at that brick. Look at the way it's built. The clock tower.
The Fontana del Neptuno. Neptune.
Okay, the Fountain of Neptune is that one right there. Something Inferne. I mean, that kind of looks like a devil or something down below him, but I could be wrong. Or it could be that one. No, that's the Perseus and Medusa. Oh my gosh. I have always loved that story. And there it is. We're going to get closer to that, but here's sort of a... Wow. Can't wait to get there. I mentioned in previous videos that I took 4 years of Latin, but even before that, I was always in love with Greek and Roman myths. And that's sort of what led me to want to study Latin. Plus, my brother did it first, and he said it was really good. But I probably would have been drawn to it anyway. But, of course, one of my favorite myths was Perseus, the Medusa. You may have seen any of the Clash of the Titans. They are... The first one is okay. I mean, the original one, is okay to the thing. It's a little off from the actual story. The remakes are not really that close to the story. And one thing that's really interesting, notice the Medusa face there. Like in the movies and stuff, she's always this horrible looking woman with a snake body, blah, blah, blah. She wasn't. She was a woman who essentially had relations on the altar of, I think, Athena. It was Athena. And Athena punished her by giving her the snakes for the hair. And if she looked upon any man, then she would turn them to stone. And so, of course, Perseus has to go kill her so that he can use her head to turn the crack into stone to save Cassiopeia. And this is him standing. And you can see her body down there, right? Like, there's the rest of her body. And he has a few things. He was given some help from the gods because he is one of the sons of Zeus. There's like a bazillion of those punks. He has the winged boots. They were a gift from Mercury. He has the helm, which is a gift from, I think Athena? I think it was Athena that would allow him to become invisible. And so I'm not so certain I would go into a battle totally naked, but it worked for him. But you know, when you're a god, or a demigod in this case, sometimes luck is just in your favor.
Show that base.
And then there's the base.
Because I don't think people expect this. This is something I talk about at school where...
What is it?
Well, it's not necessarily important. It's more when we talk about bases and plinths. And in this case, look at the absurdity of this
Well,
base.
that's true. One thing to think about is like we always look at the statues, right? But like, what are the plinths that they're standing on? How decorative are those? Same thing with paintings. One thing we realized in the Louvre is like it's not just the paintings that are art. Some of the frames are art too. Here's a zoom in of all of the different statues that are in this area. And there's a little guide down here. So you can zoom in and pause on that if you want to. I'll go around and show them. We'll go around and look at this one on the front, but this is number 14 on that map. We're sort of starting from the backwards. And man fighting centaur. What is number 10? Roman woman. Number 9. Another Roman woman. All right, I'm going to take a look at these. There's also these inscriptions up here. They're also listed on there as being part of the exhibit. Josh teaches, one of the things he teaches a lot of things, is typography, and so he zeroes in on anything that's like old, like writing, and how even though it's really old, we still recognize a lot of the letters today. This one is Achilles. Oh yeah, look at that helmet.
Actually, I think he's the one being held.
Oh, he's the one being held. Is that Zeus? I don't know. Anyway, that's Achilles. Sorry for the sun. It's in my eyes too. Wow, that one's pretty cool. Here's the backside of the one there. There's the body. And so I wonder if these are the gods who gave stuff. Like that's Hermes there. I'm pretty sure that's Athena.
Young person attached to them.
Yeah, hard to tell. Interesting. Here's the other side of that statue that we started with, number 14. I'm not going to say the name because this is a family channel, but let's say there's a lot of statues about women having relations forced upon them. This is inside the that building I was just showing you. Gorgeous in here. It is a museum. Wow, look at these columns. And you know this was more than just like this. I swear this would have been like a bath or something, or just sort of a water feature, because you have the fountain, but you also have the drainage by the fountain or underneath the fountain. So I bet this whole area was like a, I don't know, we'd probably use the term wading pool today, but it's probably not what they would have called it then. But there's intricate decorations on the columns. There's beautiful decorations on the walls and the ceilings. And of course, a big open hole for natural light. So this is like an atrium that you would have in an old Roman home. So this is indeed the Museo di Ponte Vecchio. And there's some rules about it. Here's the Basilica of Santa Croce that we were heading to, which was not actually that far. We stopped at a place and got some fruit. Sometimes the best way to get some water is to eat some fruit. So we got some grapes and cantaloupe in a cup. It's €6. It really hit the spot. But I love these squares that they have everywhere. You know, one thing we were noticing, I'm sorry, excuse me, in Rome, although I know they exist because I can see them on a map, we don't see a lot of like park spaces. There's a lot of open spaces like this, and you can see how not busy this is compared to the Duomo and then the other square where that museum was. As I look around, you can see. But, excuse me, whew. But there's not a lot of like park spaces. And it's probably just because we haven't been in the right areas for it. But I do like these very Florentine buildings. And Florence is also very well known for its leather. A lot of it is made here, some of it isn't, of course, even though they might say it is. There's a huge leather market somewhere around here, but everywhere we've been walking, there's been different souvenir shops with things like shawls, clothing, various souvenirs, of course, and then like pictures like the over there. But there's a whole leather place like right there. And we're gonna get something because we need to get some gifts for people who are watching our kitties. This is a statue of Dante, of Dante's Inferno Dante, among other things. Nice. Wonder if he's in there. Okay, so the claim to fame of this, the reason why we're going here is there are a lot of famous dead people buried in this place. Or interred, buried, interred, put in a mausoleum. Anyway, famous dead people in here. Dead people we want to see. Like Michelangelo, for example. Galileo's another one. That's cool, yeah. Giants. Here's the map, and here's the features of it, so I'll zoom in a little. All right, let's go find these things. This isn't so easy to see since it's behind a gate. I mean, the gate's open, but there's still a gate. It's a crucifix by the artist Donatello. Love that stained glass behind it. And if you go up some more, as with many places like this, it is a working church. When Josh came in, he was asked to take off his hat. Apparently ladies can wear hats, but men can't. We talked about it yesterday at the Pantheon, but you can see all the different pews and an altar with beautiful stained glass and a crucifix up there. I grew up Catholic, and I went to St. Joseph's Church in Colorado Springs, and after a while we had a crucifix that looked similar to this, not identical. This one is called Stories of St. Francis, so just a bunch of different things that he did. But look how medieval that looks. It's 1300s, I think? Yeah, 1317 to 1325 is when this was painted, or it's circa that time frame. This is the Tomb of Galileo. Being a science nerd, it's one of my favorite dudes. I believe he was excommunicated from the church, but something must have happened because they decided to bring him back in, but I could be wrong about that. What a wonderful way to be remembered. We didn't come in through this entrance, but this is, when I was showing you the front of the building, this is the huge door that opens up. Look at those locking mechanisms. That's incredible. Probably made to withstand people bashing through. We came in through a side entrance where, oh, by the way, the tickets for this were €8 a person, €6 of like for kids. And one thing I really like is the people who live in Florence can come here for free. And I really like that kind of thing. This is the tomb of Michelangelo. Yesterday we saw the tomb of Raphael, so we're on 2 of the Ninja Turtles. I said it as a joke. Obviously the Ninja Turtles are named after them. But this is his tomb again. Beautiful. I showed you his statue outside, but this is the actual tomb of Dante Infernal fame. Again, beautiful. Look at all that marble. This is the tomb of Machiavelli. If you ever heard the term Machiavellian, it's this dude. Wow. There's the exit there, pretty much opposite the entrance, but it leads out to a pretty nice courtyard. I was just mentioning there's not a lot of green spaces, and there's a little bit one here. I love these Tuscan trees. I mean, I'm sure they're not exclusive to Tuscany, but they say Tuscany so much. There's another chapel over there. And just the whole thing, living and working spaces. Incredible. Look at the number of people that have come here, not just tourists, but the people who've lived here and worked here and died here and loved here and fought here, and so much history in one spot. Here we are along the river. The Arno River. Josh is just looking it up. And we're heading to Ponte Vecchio, which is that bridge over there that has a whole bunch of shops and stuff on it.
I got kind of like a sorority that I didn't like.
But I do like the people out there rowing. I was gonna say crew and row, and it came out as crowing. But the place where we are essentially is kind of like the city center area. It's kind of where the things are, like all the places we visit have been on this side, and then if we don't really have any reason to cross over to the other side for the things that we're going to see. But I do love how different this looks than Rome, right? Like, look at all the trees up there, surrounded by so much greenery. I think that's a church way up there. It's pretty cool. Beautiful. Imagine living in one of those apartments or homes that overlooks the river. Stunning. We stopped by this cafe, which is just outside the Ponte Vecchio bridge, which we haven't gone to yet because we know we needed to eat something before our Duomo tour, so it was a good opportunity to get a little sandwich here. Mozzarella. I forget what the meat was. And there's some kind of sauce in there too that looks like kind of orangey. What do you think?
It's quite good.
It really is.
You get an initial taste on the first bite, then the other flavors start to kick in. There's a little bit of sauce, there's some cheese. It keeps getting better.
Yeah, it really does. Like the taste has continued in my mouth. Whatever that sauce is really good. Yeah, this is delicious. And it's perfect kind of small size for both of us, especially since we're going to be having a big steak later. The meat is tacchino. I'm not sure what that is. And there's mozzarella. And then salsa rosa, which is just some kind of like red sauce. There's a little bit on the side. What does that taste like by itself? It's mayonnaise-y, but it has a different flavor to it. Yeah, definitely mayonnaise based. It's not spicy. It's very good. So the Ponte Vecchio. Essentially, it's a lot of jewelry stores. Josh and I are not really into jewelry, but I am into cool architecture. So I did want to come look, but we're certainly not going to buy anything here. No offense to anybody who likes jewelry. Awesome. Do what feels good, but we are not jewelry people, except for our wedding rings. Josh had earrings once. I had an earring for like a month in college, but we're not really otherwise. Like, I don't like having things on me, like a necklace or something. I would wear a necklace, but I don't. There's probably nothing more than that. Doesn't appeal to me, but I know it does to many people, and good for them. So there's some jewelry that's absolutely gorgeous. And then, of course, souvenir stuff. Ooh, look, there's an actual Rolex store. I mean, we do have fancy shops where we're in Denver. Like this Cherry Creek Mall is not that far, and it has lots of fancy shops. I'm not sure if it has an actual Rolex store, but...
These flip up, those flip down.
Oh, yeah, Josh is noticing that these will flip up, and those will flip down, and that pretty much covers everything when they're not used during the evening. Lots of gold. I don't have a practice eye. I cannot tell you if these are real diamonds or real gemstones or if they're imitations. I mean, they're pretty. I can appreciate that. But just because of where it is and the things they sell, I have a feeling that they're probably real, which is kind of amazing, the amount of money that, you know, all of this stuff. Like this whole street, how much does it cost? Quite a bit. Wow. Oh, I kind of like that necklace. That's cool. And this is just one side. I mean, there's the other side over there too. Some brands I definitely recognize, many I don't. But yeah, I mean, that's what this is, right? It's just a bridge that has a whole bunch of jewelry stores on it for people to come, and it's a bit of a tourist trap. And again, I've mentioned this before, I'm not into jewelry, but I am into really cool architecture and really interesting ways to present things. And it's very likely that when this was first here and the people came and they were selling, that they lived above it, and they still might, but there are shops below and homes above, and you can see it's very crowded. This is a tourist destination, but we are tourists, and so we are spending time in touristy spots with other tourists. But it's nice because There's so many people for so many places. You hear lots of Italian, of course, because we're in Italy, but German and Swiss and lots of English, but different kinds of English. I've heard Australian English and British English, and it's wonderful that people all come together like this on vacations, visits, work, whatever the reason is. It's cool. Humanity can be really cool sometimes. This is somewhat of a famous landmark. It's a boar, and you touch the nose for luck, and you can see how the nose is completely worn down as opposed to anything else. And I guess you put money in it too, and then touch the nose, which is what the kids have been doing, and then it drops down. That's kind of cool. I love little traditions like that. The little traditions like that always seem to involve money. So there's the Duomo, right? And literally there's the square, Duomo Square, and then Duomo itself. And our hotel is right here. It's this hotel. We're on the second floor of the Hotel Constantini, but I mean, it's literally that close. We originally had a B&B, not an Airbnb, but like a B&B. But I switched it to this because we wanted to be very close to the center of the city and not have to keep going back out to the B&B, which was a little further away. We're only staying one night, so this is gonna be absolutely fine, but there's the front door that you walk in on. There's a bathroom. Josh is in there right now, so we're not gonna tour that at the moment. And then you have like a little desk, a couple beds. You can either have them together or apart. I asked for them to be apart. We just sleep better on vacation when we're in separate beds. And then some windows. Oh, there's the birdies. So there's some birdie friends that live out there. But check this out. I'll come over to this window. There's the Duomo right there. It's just a partial view, but you can see it. We were that close to it. So yeah, it's for one night. This would be perfect. I'm not sure if we could stay like 7 nights in this. I mean, I'm pretty sure we could, but it's kind of small for a long term. But otherwise, it's fantastic. And the guy at the desk was really nice. And there's a lot of ways to get in here. We have a key, but we also have like electronic stuff to get into the building, to get into the hotel, and then to get into the room. So that's pretty cool. Here we are on the side, and we have a fairly good sized group coming with us there. You can see a lot of the work being done still. There's a little elevator going up and down. They were building a little bit more scaffolding over there. I mean, these kinds of things require a lot of upkeep, especially the outsides, because the rain and the weather is not nice to buildings, especially buildings this old. Here are the real doors that I showed you earlier. These are the real ones for the baptistry. Wow. Incredible. This is an example of the dome, and the church was there for a long time before somebody figured out how to make a dome for it, made out of stone. They didn't have the technology or the knowledge to do it until Brunelleschi came along, and he was able to do it. The Duomo is covered in marble, but if you want to see what it looked like prior to the marble getting put on there, like that, you can tell kind of how it's built, and then it's finished with marble. We're inside the baptistry. That's that octagonal building that's just outside the Duomo, where they used to do baptisms. That's why it's called that. It's currently under construction, so you can't really see the ceiling, but it does have beautiful patterns on it. Look at this scaffolding, it's amazing. But if you could see the ceiling, it would look like this. Can't tell because my camera brings in a lot of light, but it's kind of dark in here, especially after having been out in the sun. Wow, this is incredible. at those people walking up there. Tiny little people. Oh my goodness. Look at that up there. It's gonna be where we're walking later. Climbing. This is the entrance for the actual dome. You can kind of see it up there. We're about to go in and do the walk. Lots and lots of steps for this dome. And we had a specific time frame. And here's like what the steps look like. Narrow stone.
Do we go down the same steps?
There's the floor we were before. Now we're up here where I showed you those people earlier. Now where are those tiny people? Wow. Wow, it becomes even smaller, wow, and shorter. Oh my gosh, it was a very long climb. I literally and figuratively died, but my goodness, this view is worth it. Pretty sure that's the train station we came in on. Oh my gosh, look at that. Look at those people down there. Incredible. Goes all the way around. Oh, look at those cool mountains with the villas on them. Of course, more of Florence. Here's where we were earlier today. Santa Croce. We're on our way down, which is easier, but not easy, because people in the past were shorter and had smaller feet, so the stairs are small and the height is small, so I had to duck the whole way down, but we're back to the gallery area. And we're just waiting for the traffic jam to keep moving. People are looky-looing, but you can see why. Some of those devils, she was telling us, are like 10 meters tall, so 30 feet.
That's a bafflement if ever I saw one.
Just dropped by this trattoria. It came up as being highly suggested for Florentine steak. It looks like a steakhouse. And we're looking forward to it. It's kind of a T-bone steak that they just sort of chopped up for you, and I think it's served with potatoes. We've seen some images of it, and it's one of the things we wanted to try while we're here. I don't eat a lot of red meat because I can get gout, and that can set it off, so it's nice every so often to have a really good cut of meat, and that's what I hope this is. But, you know, there's like thousands of reviews, and it gets like 4.6 or something, so that's pretty good. Well, here it is. It's kind of a lot. We got some roasted potatoes with it.
That's the main.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit extra.
Yeah,
but
you can
this
kind of
is
see it
bone,
there.
this is fat.
And then there's like a little piece there. We got a medium rare, which it almost still looks kind of rare-ish. Anyway, I've had a piece. It's very delicious. Our review of the steak is that it was good, but not the best steak we've ever had. It was very well cooked. It's not really seasoned other than with some salt. And it is sort of melty in your mouth. So there are some good things about it, but it is not the best steak I've ever had. It is kind of expensive though for what we got, but we also went to a kind of expensive place that gets really good reviews. So, meh. It was kind of our one big meal here. Otherwise, we're just eating, sort of regular food-ish. But nice way to celebrate our only evening in Florence, because tomorrow we'll be leaving about 4 o'clock to go back to Rome. So we only had today and tomorrow. Now we're just sort of walking around a little to walk off the steak. I mean, not that we necessarily need to, because we just, we just walked up the Duomo to the dome. And the reason I kind of looked up is because that's where we happen to be right now. Right there in front of it. So we just walked up there and got a good amount of exercise today and got a good amount of exercise yesterday. And when we thought about it, we're like, what do we have this morning? We had like a apricot tart. We each had half a sandwich and this steak. That's all we've eaten today. So we should have carbo loaded before we did all the stairs. But it ended up being okay. It was a little rough going up. Towards the end of that, I'm like, I don't know if I can make this. But we did it. Coming back down was, I think I mentioned that it wasn't as easy either, because I had to duck a lot. Thankfully, there were a lot of railings to hold onto on the way down. So that made it a little bit easier. So the activity of it didn't make it hard. It was really easy to go downstairs versus upstairs, but it was harder because the circumstances made it more difficult because of the low ceilings and the kind of small stairs. But it was so worth it. That view on top of the Duomo, or on the top of the dome, was incredible. It really, really was. So if you come here, I suggest doing it. Just, get your cardio in before you come, because it's not going to be that easy of a climb. Even for people in the group who seemed somewhat athletic, by the end of it, they're like, oh yeah, that was hard. Listen to those bells outside our window. I really hope it doesn't do that at like midnight.
Oh, sweet Mary. Oh.
What a nice way to sign off for our first day in Florence. Thank you for joining us on our first day of Florence. We're gonna do the Uffizi Gallery, if you can hear me, and the Accademia Gallery tomorrow. The Uffizi is where the birth of Venus is, among other things, and the Accademia is where David is, the statue of David, also among other things. So look out for that video. Thanks again for joining us today.